Back Home Media.
At Smith Auto and Truck Parts, Team PRP, we believe that our commitment to outstanding customer service sets us apart from the rest. We are constantly looking for ways to improve the quality, delivery, and inventory of our products. Our full line of new aftermarket hoods, fenders, bumpers, headlamps, tail lamps, grills, radiators, and AC condensers for your late model car or truck are second to none. You can buy from us with confidence, knowing that our parts have been cleaned, tested, and inspected, and come with our promise that you will be satisfied. With 15,000 units on site and 100,000 parts in our computerized inventory, we have just about anything you need for your late model car or truck. And if we don't have it, we'll find it for you with our free nationwide parts locating service. Visit us at 402 East Burnside Drive in Garden City, Kansas, or give us a call at 620-275-9145. This episode is sponsored by Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big Fish Bail Bonds is your first choice in bondsmen. We are located 3 blocks away from the Sedgwick County Jail in Wichita, Kansas. We accept all major credit cards, and we accept payment plans on big bonds with no collateral in some cases. Find us at bigfishbailbonds.us or give us a call at 316-262-4100. Big Fish Bail Bonds. Big or small, we release them all.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Kansas Missing Unsolved Podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Tebrugge, and joining me from Arizona is Derek. How you doing tonight, Derek?
Pretty good. We got Kelly Uphoff and Scarlett in the house hanging out with us.
Hey, Kelly. Hey, Scarlett.
And then we also have Chris Unruh is here. Kelly's saying, hope everyone is doing okay today and this week. Let's bring some people home. 100%.
Amen.
Dennis Rebel either subscribed or did something, maybe sent, I don't know. Trisha Arnold is in the room over in YouTube land.
Trisha, hey, Dennis.
Sandra on YouTube. We
Hey,
got Don Robin. Jordan Radloff, he's a Back Home Media host. He hosts the Roudcast and also the Garage Conspiracy Hour. Great guy. He's here to hang out with us. And then we have Esther Unruh in the house.
Hey, Esther, how you doing?
Good stuff. So anything new on the true crime front, Ricky, as far as some popular cases out there?
Well, last week we covered Madalena Pantoja, and it looks like she was located deceased, and they've got her boyfriend arrested, or again, it was boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, have him arrested and charged with first-degree murder, and I was reading his bond is set at $3 million. So he's not going anywhere. When I was reading, it said that they, when police went into the apartment, they discovered that the comforter on the bed was gone. There was a big red stain on the mattress. There was a hole either in the bedroom or the bathroom, or bedroom or bathroom door. I can't remember which one. They had a pretty volatile relationship from the sounds of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been really, really, really crazy. I actually did an interview for a really cool radio show out of Manchester, New Hampshire yesterday. They had me on to talk about my band's music, but I ended up talking about KMU the whole episode. He was just really interested in, I don't think everybody that's watching this show is people, most of these people have come here every week and hang out, so they kind of get the idea. But, Matt Connerton's the host of that show, and he had no idea that there is, if you Google unsolved homicides in your state, that it's going to blow your mind how many cases are not solved. Because people watch like CSI and Law and Order, and generally the good guys win, and really I think it kind of works in the sense, like me, up until I started doing this show, like I don't break the law, but one of the main reasons I never really broke the law was I was like, man, they're going to catch you. Like if you sweat, like they're going to swab it, run it through a thing. You can't break the law anymore. But turns out like there's so many untested sexual assault kits Like we know we have data of known perpetrators we haven't even tested yet. So I'm just saying, like, Matt was kind of blown away by the fact, like the fact that there's a lot of crime that goes unchecked in this country.
Right.
A lot.
Right.
And we just see it on the, yeah. Here we go. Trisha says, spread the word. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Kelly, we did change the colors. We like to keep it a little fresh every week, kind of move it around a little bit.
But it's getting back to the Madeline case. I mean, it's becoming sadly more and more frequent that we're seeing those kinds of cases. And I shared one on my Facebook. I didn't share it on KMU yet or anything, but shared one on my Facebook. It was a 37-year-old woman named Ashley Barlow. She was married to a guy named Terry Barlow. They were in the process of divorcing. Divorce papers were filled out. They were signed. They were notarized. Just hadn't been filed yet. Apparently, he was having a hard time accepting that she was wanting to divorce and move on. He put a GPS tracker on her truck, removed her gun from her truck. She was a court officer in Beaumont, Texas. He tracked her down to a business there in Beaumont, and this is all caught on 2 different surveillance camera systems. Had a big argument. There was a witness there. Initially, he pulled the gun out, but he left, thankfully, at that point. But he did come back. Argument continued. Pulled the gun out again, and basically he shot and killed her, and then he shot the witness. And this was last October. Last month, he was finally sentenced for that crime. He took a plea deal, which initially he wasn't going to take. But he got 50 years for killing Ashley, and then he got 20 years for shooting at the witness. The witness was never hurt because when he shot at the witness, as the witness was running, he tripped and fell, so the bullet went over him.
Oh, wow.
And he was able to get to cover, so he was safe from being shot. But that case, I brought that case up because, like I say, there's just too much that stuff going on, and guys, we got to do better with our women. I mean, I've been divorced 12 years. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't want it, but she wanted to move on, and I tried to keep it together. We went to saw a pastor, talked to our pastor, in the end, we still ended up divorcing, but, we're still good friends to this day. She'll watch the show, comment on the show. She comments on posts and stuff. So, I mean, she's real supportive of what I do and stuff, but, just guys, I'm gonna go biblical for a minute here. God created Adam in the beginning, and then he took one of Adam's ribs, created a woman, so man wasn't lonely. So basically, bottom line, I guess I'm saying, God gave us woman as a gift for companionship, to be a mother of our kids. Let's treat our women like they're the gifts that God intended them for us to be, for us. This is crazy. I'm getting to see too many cases where women are being taken out and murdered by boyfriends, husbands, and sometimes on the flip side of the coin, women are doing it to their boyfriends and husbands too. I mean, it goes both ways, but it's more women doing it, or more men doing it to women than the other way around. But another reason I brought Ashley's case up is because she's my cousin.
Yeah,
and she's my aunt Shelley's daughter, and my aunt Shelley's my late dad's youngest sister. But yeah. So I really thought a lot about that case, over the last, especially since I heard he was sentenced and what he got, and the judge played the surveillance video from him shooting her in the courtroom, and he counted. Well, before the judge played the video, her husband tried to say this whole thing was an accident, and then the judge played a video, and she counted every shot that he shot my cousin. And the judge, she said, that this was torture for me and everybody to have to listen to. My aunt left the courtroom because she couldn't stand to watch it. But in the end, he shot her 17 times. Just because he couldn't handle she was wanting to move on.
Yeah.
The sad thing is I never got to meet her.
Yeah.
Never got to meet her. That I can recall. I might have met her at my grandmother's funeral, but I don't honestly recall. It's crazy. I'm sorry I got a little choked up there. But dang it, when it's family, even when it's not, it affects you, but when it's family, dang it. Because not only is he successfully taken their mother, because when I was told by my aunt, we talked on Mother's Day, she called me and we talked about the sentencing and everything, and she was telling me that, of course, Ashley was begging him to stop shooting. I thought she might have been. I couldn't remember. But he begged her to stop, or she begged him to stop shooting her. And then the last thing she said before she died was my babies. Because they had 2 kids together. One's 13 years old. One's just a little bit younger than that. So now my aunt and her other daughter, my other cousin, they're raising Ashley's kids now. Because not only did he successfully remove their mom from their lives, he removed himself from their lives by being sent to prison for the rest of his life. So, over a selfish, stupid act.
Yeah, and if you go to kmupod.com, you can see some resources there. There is some resources for anybody who might be trapped in a domestic violence situation. Definitely a very real situation that a lot of Americans find themselves in. And yeah, not good at all. Double T likes the color scheme.
Yeah. So for the love of God, guys, start treating your women better. Start treating them better. You can't force them to love you. You can't make them love you. You can't threaten them to love you. You can't manipulate them to love you. They have to love you on their own free will because they want to. Yeah. Don't try to make them. Don't try to force them. Don't try to guilt trip them. Let them love you because they want to and no other reason. Let them live.
Trisha brings up a good point. It makes people want to stay single.
Yeah. I could understand that.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of show to get to. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started here with Garden City, Kansas case, Rachel Geraldine Pratt.
Okay. I didn't realize she was on the lineup tonight. Okay.
I've decided to do her every week. Do her case every week because she's a Garden City case.
Okay. You write her down here. Okay. She's been from Garden City, Kansas since January 16th, 1995. She was 15 when she went missing. She's now 43. 5'7", 125 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen watching a movie inside her family's residence in Garden City at approximately 1 a.m. on January 16th, 1995. She disappeared under suspicious circumstances and has never been heard from again. Rachel left all of her clothing and personal belongings at her home except for her coat. 5 days after her disappearance, some girls claim to have seen her talking on a payphone with her 18-year-old boyfriend. They say she left the phone with her boyfriend after asking the girls for a ride, then went into Dylan's grocery store. The sighting has not been confirmed, and her boyfriend denies having been with her after she vanished. Rachel was supposed to be a witness against her boyfriend, who is being prosecuted for unlawful sexual relations with her. Because Rachel disappeared before she could testify, the charges were dropped. They started dating when Rachel was 14, a freshman in high school, and he was a senior. He was her first boyfriend. Rachel's mother found out that she was pregnant after Rachel was arrested for attempting to shoplift a home pregnancy test from Walmart. She gave her statement to the police at that time. And there is no evidence to indicate that Rachel was given birth. There's also no record of her receiving a driver's license, a copy of her birth certificate, or a social security card. She may have remained in the Garden City area after her disappearance. There have been no sightings of her in many years, but authorities remain hopeful that she is still alive. Rachel has 7 siblings. Her mother still lives at the same address and has kept the same phone number. If you have any information regarding Rachel's disappearance or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Garden City, Kansas Police Department at 620-276-1300 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get her located and back to where she needs to be.
Probably the most famous Garden City case as far as coverage that I've seen, like in other, it's there's a lot to it, like this, she's supposed to testify against the boyfriend, it's just, there's a lot to it. It's definitely talked about all the time in Garden City for sure. Dennis R. Rebel, good words tonight. Truth.
Thank you, Dennis.
Ricky, I am so sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Chris.
For Nelson, what's cracking, fam? We were just hanging out, man. We were just hanging out, trying to find some people. Speaking of Garden City, let's talk about this unsolved homicide, the cold case card of the week, Ernie Ortiz.
Okay, Garden City Police responded just before 11 p.m. Thursday, September 12, 2019, to the report of a person down at El Conquistador restaurant at 1601 Buffalo Jones Avenue in Garden City. When officers arrived, they found the owner, 69-year-old Ernest Ortiz, lying on the east parking lot entrance. He suffered multiple gunshot wounds. He later died at a local hospital. Robbery is believed to be the possible motive. No arrests have been made. If you have any information regarding Ernie's death, please call the Garden City, Kansas Police Department at 620-276-1300. If you'd like to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Stoppers at 620-275-7807 or text GC TIP and your tip to TIP 411, which is 847-411, or the KBI at 1-800-572-7463. Crime Stoppers will pay up to $21,500 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect or suspects in this case.
It's pretty wild, man. When I lived in Garden City, that was my wife's one of her favorite places to go. On her lunch break, I would meet her pretty often on lunch breaks, and we would meet there at his restaurant, and he was always right there at the front door. He was the guy that would greet you and then check your ticket out at the end of the meal. You would pay him. Seemed like a nice guy. But again, walking into his restaurant and saying hello to him and then eating food and then saying goodbye to him and paying for it, I didn't really get to know the guy very well. It's just an interaction with somebody who owns a business. So I don't know the guy, but I know that there's a lot of people in Garden City that really did know this guy. He's been a staple in the community for many years and stuff. So this is going to be one that, drives people crazy. Anytime this is posted in the Garden City chat pages, people are very upset about this. It makes you feel pretty scared about the community you're living in if somebody can just walk up to somebody and take their life and walk off and have no repercussions. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, hopefully we can find out who did it. I agree with you, Kelly.
Let's talk about Charles McEverett Henry.
All right. He's missing from Great Bend, Kansas since May 6, 2016. He was 27 when he went missing. He's now 34. He is 6'2", weighs 180 pounds, has black hair and black eyes. He was last night to be driving an unknown make two-door black car away from a house in the 500 block of Northwest 20 Avenue between Hoisington and Great Bend. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 27. He's now 34. He is 6'2", weighs 180 pounds, black hair and black eyes. He was last known to be wearing a black shirt and denim shorts. He has tattoos on his left arm. One is of the cross, and it says Tyler on his upper arm, and an eagle with a flag on the lower arm. They're both pictured right up there. His eyebrow and left ear are pierced. He has a large scar near the left knee, a large scar on the right arm from the elbow to the wrist, a scar on his right knee, scar on his forehead, scars on both sides of his ribs, a scar on the bottom of the left foot, and a dimple dip in his left bicep. He has a plate in his right arm from his elbow to his wrist and 2 screws in his left knee. If you have any information regarding Charles's disappearance, his whereabouts, please call the Great Bend, Kansas Police Department at 620-793-4120 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Charles located and back to where he needs to be. So it's a little over 7 years now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need to get him found.
Yeah, that's, this case, Dolly Madison. Great Bend's really small to have so much,
Yeah.
to be featured on this show so often. It's a pretty small place.
Right.
Kelsey Youngblood in the house.
Hey, Kelsey. How you doing?
All right, let's talk about Lakota Renville.
All right. Lakota Renville. This is an unsolved homicide. Her body was found October 16, 2005 in a known illegal dump site on a gravel lot in the 9200 block of Pitcher Road in Independence, Missouri. Lakota had been beaten and stabbed. Her body had been wrapped in a southwestern style blanket pictured above. And if you look carefully above that bull skull, you can still see the blood stain. Early in the investigation, police thought Lakota may have been picked up by her killer near Independence or Myrtle Avenues. A witness had reported seeing a brown early 1990s model Ford Explorer with Missouri license plate in the area where Lakota's body was found. The family of Lakota Renville, who was Native American in 2006, had a tribal blessing ceremony at the site where her body was found. Lakota's family continues to hope that the person responsible for her death is caught. Anybody with information is asked to call the TIPS hotline at 816-474-8477. Tips may also be submitted electronically at kccrimestoppers.com or by texting tip 452 and information to 274-637, which is crimes, and see if we can't, get some justice for Lakota and her family, because it's been quite some time now, almost 18 years.
Very long time.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to do the math on that one, how many days it is. 213 juveniles missing right now, currently in the state of Kansas. As of 20 minutes before we went live, 332 adults.
Yeah.
So I think we've gone up on both accounts, haven't we?
I believe so, yeah. I think last week we were like at 202, 203 on the juveniles. And
I'll start leaving last week's up there so we can switch between. So I'll leave this one up next week so we can switch between next week's background and this one and see where the numbers are at. But yeah, over 500. Well, yeah, a lot of people missing.
545.
Yep. You're better at math than me. I'm a product of calculators. Let's go ahead and talk about. Let me see.
I annoy the cashiers at the store because I'll give them my cash and tell them what my change is before the register does.
Yeah. Let's talk about Maurice Johnson.
Okay, this is the actual cold case card case for this week. Ernie's I just put back on there because I was noticing that Garden City Police was running his case again on their page this morning, so I thought I would go ahead and get him in there again. But this was Maurice Johnson. This was July 23rd, 2002 in Wichita. He had went to a club in southeast Wichita. Shots were fired. One man was injured. 2 days later, Maurice was found dead from gunshot wounds in a fenced-in lot next to the club. If anybody has any information regarding Maurice's death, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4181, or you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 316-267-2111, or you can call KBI at 1-800-572-7463 and see if we can't get justice for Maurice and his family as well. There's too many of these unsolved murders, man.
Yeah.
It does kind of keep you on edge a little, because you think about it, there's these people out there that have committed these crimes that are more than likely still walking around and shopping among us and things like that. And I mean, it is a scary thought. It really is.
Yeah, it's not good. It's like I was saying on that radio show I was talking about. I was like, man, you'd be surprised how many unsolved cases there are in your. Did I make a pun? I'm exhausted, folks. I don't think I meant to make a pun. I am so tired. I got up early.
If you did, I missed it completely.
See, I'm funny even when I'm not trying to be funny. Let's talk about Megan Renee Fogelsong. I actually spoke to Ashley Duff. Actually, it's not Ashley Duff anymore. But I spoke to Ashley. And I asked her if there were any updates. She says that there's a little bit of movement going on in this case, but it's one of those situations where it's depending on what can be made public. But she did say she is going to reach out to Ricky as soon as she has some information that we can update. But she said that there is some stuff, but as of right now, it's just Ellie is not comfortable releasing stuff, but. There is information, but obviously every case we cover, if you talk to the people that are covering it on the ground, there's always a lot more than we cover. But yeah, it's just nice to know that it sounds like people are still very, very, very much working on finding out where Megan is. But go ahead and talk about Megan Fogelsong.
All right. Well, Megan's missing from Alden, Kansas, since sometime in late November, early December of 2015. She was 21 when she went missing. She's now 29. She's 5'4", 150 pounds, sandy blonde hair and green eyes. Her last activity on Facebook was November 30th, 2015, and there was an unconfirmed sighting around Christmas time, 2015, at Guy's Liquor Store in Larned, Kansas. Remember, that was an unconfirmed sighting. And again, at the time of Megan's disappearance, she was 21. She would now be 29. She's 5'4", weighs about 150 pounds. Her weight does fluctuate. She has sandy blonde hair that she does dye occasionally, and she has green eyes. She does wear glasses, but does have contact lenses as well. She has a tattoo on her left hip of a flower design, which you can see it up there on the far right there. She also has a tattoo on her left wrist with a heart design that says thick, thin, which is actually a heart with the infinity in there with the thick, thin. And a tattoo on her upper right chest. Both are pictured in the second photo from the right there. You can kind of see it there a little bit. She also has a tattoo on her outer left calf of a dream catcher, which I was not able to get a picture of that. And if you have any information regarding Megan's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Rice County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-257-7876 or 620-257-2363 or KBI at 785-296-4017. And of course, if you follow this case for any length of time, you know that the prime person of interest in this case is no longer with us, as he shot himself when he was they were trying to take him into custody. They ran him off the road, and as they were approaching the vehicle, he shot himself, but not before he shot and killed his own dad before that. So, I mean, anything that he may know regarding Megan's disappearance, he took with him to the grave. So, yeah. Unless he would talk to somebody, if you talk to somebody out there and you're watching this and you're hearing this, it's time to do the right thing and speak up and tell what you know. It's been long enough. 8 years almost. So let's see if we can't get her found and back to her family.
Candace missed the pun. Don says, I'm a product of calculators. Oh, okay.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Kelsey says, I really wish they would find out something on her.
Yeah. Definitely.
Trisha Arnold says, it's nice to know they aren't just forgotten.
Yeah, that's the sole purpose of this page and this show, is to not let them be forgotten.
It's been 9 years, says Kelly.
Yeah, almost. Be 8 years in November, December. So.
Well, speaking of cases that have gone a long time without having any resolution, let's go ahead and talk about Michael Eugene Golub.
Okay, he's missing from Stanton County, Kansas since May 20th of 2005. So we just passed the anniversary of his disappearance. He was 27 when he went missing. He was now 45, 6'2", weighs between 165 and 180 pounds, has brown hair and blue eyes. He was last seen in Stanton County, Kansas at 6 p.m. on May 20th, 2005. He just finished work at his job at Kramer Harvesting and was supposed to pick up his 5-year-old son at his ex-girlfriend's home, but never arrived there, and he's never been heard from again. He left behind a fiancée with whom he had an infant child. It is uncharacteristic of him to leave without warning. Michael's golden brown Chevy S10 pickup with toolboxes and Trego County, Kansas license plate was found abandoned on a county road in northwest Grant County, Kansas, 2 days after his disappearance. Following the truck's location, authorities began investigating Golub's disappearance as a potential homicide. Shannon Floyd, Golub's ex-girlfriend, and her husband Chad Floyd were arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder in Michael's case in June of 2006. Authorities believe he went to their home and was shot to death on the night of his disappearance. There was a great deal of animosity between Shannon and Michael, and they frequently disagreed over child support and visitation issues relating to their son. Michael's blood was found on the Floyd's front porch. The Floyd's defense attorney said there was insufficient proof Michael was dead and suggested he had committed suicide or left on his own accord. At the couple's July 2007 trial, the jury was unable to reach a unanimous verdict, and a mistrial was declared. The second trial also ended with the jury unable to reach a verdict. Michael's body's never been found, but foul play is suspected in this case due to the circumstances involved. If anybody has any information about Michael's disappearance or where he's at, please call the KBI at 1-800-572-7463 or 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Michael located and back to where he needs to be. It's been 18 years. It's way past time to get him found and get him home.
I'll just say this. Stanton, this happened 40 minutes from Elkhart, where I grew up. And based on the notoriety of the family of the people on trial for possibly hurting Michael, based on how notable in that community that family is, the fact that they allowed that trial to happen in Stanton County, to me, really makes me question if there's anybody overstepping their bounds with their power to help a friend out. I mean, I've talked to the family. That's just, I mean, I just feel like any other case they would move it out of the state, but like out of the county. But I know that I'm not alone. A lot of people think it's really funky that nobody could come up with it. But I mean, it's just there was blood. It just seems like, you know, I mean, even what I think it was like 48 hours. Somebody came out and did like a nationally televised, you know, plea for the public to talk about Michael's case. And it was not that publication was not shying away from pointing fingers at Shannon and the guy, you know, like they were like, look, there's a lot of evidence pointing to these people, but you know, mistrial 2 times. So what do? You know, and that means that it's dismissed without prejudice. So unless there's some groundbreaking piece of information found out, those 2 people are pretty much off the hook for this case.
Right.
So and then that could mean finding a body that would, you know, but right now he's a missing person, and those people are living rent free, and you know nobody's looking for them. You know, like it's been a quote unquote hung jury twice, but the fact that they had the trial in that town, you know, this Chad guy, their family is very, very powerful in that county. So I just think it's crazy that they, Kelly says it reeks of mismanagement. No family should ever have to go through the murder of a loved one. Unsolved magnifies hurt and questions. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I completely agree.
Don says, how do so many go missing without a trace? The earth doesn't just swallow them up.
Well, it's just like the thing I posted the other day. It says nobody disappears without a trace. Somebody knows something.
I think they covered it up and got rid of his body. I mean, who knows? But I mean, it's just like, in my opinion, just the fact that they tried that in that county, to me, reeks of that was a bad idea. I think that was a bad idea. And
that's a very good question, Kelly. How could you do that? I mean, it happens though. I mean, look at like, you know, Ted Bundy, Gary Ridgway. I mean, they were doing it. I mean, they suspect Gary Ridgway of killing upwards of 80 women that were mostly sex workers, but I mean, upwards of towards 80, he was still married. You know, he was still working as a truck painter at a Kenworth plant. I mean, living an everyday normal life. Look at BTK in Wichita. He did what he did, and he was married, 2 kids, president of the church, Boy Scout leader. I mean, it just blows the mind.
I mean, but it's not like Michael was in a bad situation that a lot of Americans are in. He was splitting custody of a child with somebody who used to be romantic with and not really close to anymore. That is a breeding ground for disaster most of the time. So I'm just imagining there's a lot of friction between, you know, Michael is getting his time with the kid, and then the kids with Shannon and Chad. And I'm sure, you know, that's just any kid who's been between 2 houses, you know, there's 2 different sets of rules you live by. It is a stressful situation for everybody involved, but I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that anybody who's in a situation where one day a week, two people who used to be either in love or in a relationship meet at a gas station and swap, you know, trade a kid, you know, here you take, that's a big thing, you know, because like I have my kids, I'm with my wife. I couldn't imagine departing with my kids for the rest of the week. It just creeps me. It's weird. So everybody that's in these situations, those are volatile situations. There's a lot of feelings involved. And I just don't buy it that, first of all, I don't buy it after talking to this guy's family. I don't buy it that he bailed on his kid. His kids, he has 2 kids, you know, and I just don't buy that that nothing happened. That's a volatile situation. But again, I wasn't there, I don't know, but I feel like there's a reason that that nationwide publication came to Stanton County and said what they said on the air.
And so you think it also affects the family of the perpetrator too, because I tell you, I follow BTK's daughter on Twitter, and I've actually talked to her a couple times, but follow her on Twitter, and she said on her Twitter openly many times and in interviews many times that she feels like because of what her dad did and the kind of life the double life that he was living, she feels like her entire childhood was nothing but a lie.
No, it was, man.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I mean, this is crazy.
Dawn says her nephew disappeared in 19, never to be heard from again.
I think I did a flyer for him, didn't I, Don? I do so many flyers I can't remember day to day who I did.
Rodney Cox, I love Rodney. He says, anyone knows anything probably won't talk. They don't want to be the next one to come up missing. And that's another thing I talked about on that radio show I was on.
Valid point.
A lot of people don't talk to the police, you know. They just straight up won't do it. Either they're afraid of retaliation. They're afraid of you go talk to the police. Next thing you know, you're in there for 12 hours, and then everybody in town sees your car at the police station for 12 hours. Then they see you walk out and go home. They're like, I wonder what that person said. And then you could potentially be in danger,
right?
Especially if people know that you know bad things about them, and they find out Derek's car was at the police station for 12 hours today. Now, granted, I will rat out people as soon as they offer me food. I'll rat out everybody I know. But yeah, that's the reason people don't talk to cops, is because even if you go through that whole scenario, then you might have to go to court and point at somebody that you're scared of. You know, like there's a reason people don't talk to the cops. It's really bad. How can you dismiss blood on a porch? I mean, they did it twice.
Yeah.
They said, I think they said you got a nosebleed or something. It's like, what?
I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Jonas Summers. Okay. I remember now.
Yeah. Let's talk about Dimitri Dewitt.
Yeah. He was on our located safe reel last week and back up is missing again this week. So missing from Independence, Kansas this time instead of Parsons. Since May 17th of 2023, he's 15, he's 5'5", 120 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. If anybody has any information regarding Dimitri's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department. It's 620-332-1700 or KBI is 785-296-4017. And see if we can help get Dimitri located and back to where he needs to be. I was reading comments on this flyer that I posted and seen some people comment that he didn't have the easiest childhood, hasn't had the easiest childhood growing up, and he may have some trust issues and that kind of thing. They didn't elaborate, but you know, we just hopefully we can get him found and get him back to where he needs to be. So it sounds like he's needing some help, and the only way he's going to get is to be found and stay put.
I know we've covered him. Yeah.
So Dimitri, if you're hearing this and seeing this, man, you know, let somebody know where you are so they can come get you and get you back to where you need to be, and let them help you. Let them help, you know, let them get you some help that you need, because it sounds like you need some help, buddy.
Yeah. Kelly says that little boy looks so depressed. Well, that's one thing that
he does. He looks sad.
People don't realize, like I realize it, that I don't know for a fact on any of them. But as a betting man, I would be willing to guess that a large percentage of the cases we cover are kids that are caught up in the foster system of some kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just a bad situation. I don't know Dimitri's situation, but say he is a foster kid. Makes sense he looks sad, you know? That's a sad situation to be in.
Yeah.
John says it looks like he has the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Yeah, it does.
Talking about Michael Eugene Golub, she says he's obviously unalived. So where is he? That's what I meant by the earth swallowing them up.
Yeah.
One thing I always heard was being from, you know, that part of the world, you know, Western Kansas, real close to Colorado and stuff. There's a lot of oil and natural gas stuff out there. And one thing I've always heard about several missing people is that, like, oh, they were thrown in an old oil well. But I've asked a bunch of people that were in the oil industry, and they just, not to be gross, but like the majority of any kind of pipe, any kind of hole into the earth from an old oil operation, you couldn't just shove a body down there. You would have to make the body smaller and to not be gross. So it's not like as simple as people think. Oh, you can just go throw somebody down an old well and they'll never find them. You could, but you can't. You can't just throw a body in there. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about Zoe.
Okay, this is one I did today. She's missing from Sugar Creek, Missouri since May 16th of 2023. She's 16. She is 4'11" to 5 foot tall, 110 pounds, blonde hair, hazel eyes. She may use the name Sophie, or I'm not sure if that's Lou or La Sophie. She left in an unknown vehicle that is described as an import with loud exhaust. She did leave about 4:10 in the morning. Again, she's 16, 4'11" to 5 foot, 110 pounds, blonde hair that may be dyed, and hazel eyes. She was last seen wearing light-colored clothing, and she has a tattoo of CJ on her shoulder. She has a pierced nose, eyebrow, and belly button. If you have any information regarding Zoe's disappearance, or you know of her whereabouts, please call the Sugar Creek, Missouri Police Department at 816-252-7058 or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178 or 866-362-6422 and see if we can get Zoe located and back to where she needs to be. I know her mom's frantically worried about her.
Yeah. When I was young, probably for you too, when I was young, a 16-year-old having a tattoo was pretty out there. But now it's pretty common.
Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty much unheard of when I was a teenager, but
yeah, me too. I mean, I didn't really have very many girls in my class at 16 that had but like now my niece who lives with me, she's 16 and she has like 2 tattoos, I think. Yeah. She also has a job. Yeah. So it's like it didn't matter, you know, like it's just the times they change. But yeah, it just kind of made me think like, man, when I was in high school, I would have liked to have had cool piercings and tattoos in high school, but David Releford said no.
Yeah, when I was still married, my middle stepdaughter, my ex-wife, let her get her first tattoo when she was 16. So,
yeah. I mean, as long as you don't get something really crazy, I'm not super, you know. But let's talk about Stargale Boomer. I hate covering this case because every time you read this flyer, it makes my blood boil.
Yeah. Stargale Boomer, missing from Kansas City, Kansas since February 23rd, 1999. She was 39 when she went missing. She's now 63, and I just updated that to 63 today. She is 5'4" to 5'5", weighs 140 pounds. She has blonde hair and blue eyes. Star visited Uncle Mike's, now called Nobody's Business, in Kansas City, Kansas, near her own residence on February 23rd, 1999. She went there with her roommate, Carolyn Marshall. Marshall stated they were in the bar. A male stranger walked up to Boomer and threw her off the bar stool for no apparent reason and without speaking to her. Star got up and insisted she was all right, and her attacker was forced to leave the establishment. Marshall left after finishing her drink. She asked the bartender to keep an eye on Star, whom she planned to pick up later. When Marshall called the bar later that day, she was told Star had already left with 2 men. She's never been heard from again. Witnesses at the establishment told authorities that she was involved in another altercation with another patron during the evening. The individual is believed to be a career criminal with a history of violent behavior towards women. He allegedly knocked her to the ground and beat her, causing her to lose consciousness. She's never been heard from again. Authorities believe she may have been murdered in the bar and her body hidden in another location. In October of 1999, 2 local men, William Eugene Gino Spradlin and Robert Franklin Butch Horn, were charged with second-degree murder in Star's case. Both suspects have extensive criminal histories and have served time in prison. The murder charges were later dismissed because over a dozen witnesses to the alleged crime refused to testify against the defendants. Her case remains unsolved. Foul play is suspected in Star's case due to the circumstances involved. If you have any information regarding Star's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-573-6010 or 913-596-3000 or the KBI at 1-800-572-7463. State of Kansas is offering a $5,000 governor's reward for information leading to the arrest and or prosecution of the person responsible for what happened to Star. So if you have any information at all, no matter how small of a piece of information you think it is, get it called in and see if we can help get Star located and back to her family. It is just the most bizarre case. Over a dozen people refused to testify against those two.
So Kelly brings up the obvious point. How could you be murdered in a bar and nobody's seen anything? It makes no sense and seems so failed from the start.
Yep, it does. Seems like she was failed repeatedly.
I don't know. I've never seen somebody kill somebody, but even if I heard somebody killed somebody, I don't know, man. I think everybody likes to think that they would do the right thing, but I mean, if you see somebody murder another human being over something trivial, my first human reaction would be like, okay, I should call the police right now, but that lunatic made eye contact with me, and I know for a fact that lunatic knows where I live, and I know that lunatic knows I have kids. So if I go talk to the police and something goes south and they screw something up from some human error, my family and myself is in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand seeing somebody take a human life and being afraid to cross that person, you know? Like, but at the end of the day, this was a long time ago. Whoever did this, are they still that scary? I don't know. But I mean, are they really scary in 2023? I mean, enough's enough.
Are they even still around?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just definitely pretty sad. Like Trishel says, makes me sick.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Says this whole case pees me off. Let's go ahead and talk about Quana.
Okay, this is Quana Big Spring. She is a Native American young lady. She's missing from Belton, Missouri since May 21st, 2023. She's 17, 5'4", 150 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. Quana resides in a group home in Peculiar, Missouri, but left the family home in the 600 block of B Street in Belton. Quana takes medication daily and needs to be located. Quana may be in the Grandview area near 140th Street and Botts Road. And she's 17 years old. She's 5'4", weighs 150 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. It is unknown what clothing she's wearing when she left, but she should be carrying a violet-colored backpack. If you have any information regarding Quana's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Belton, Missouri Police Department at 816-331-1500 or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178 or 866-362-6422. Or your local law enforcement agency and see if we can't get Quana located and back to where she needs to be.
Missouri case. How's the Missouri page holding up? You getting more cases poured in? Or?
Not too bad. I got a couple messages the other day, and when I got to them to read them, the people that they sent me the links on were already located, so...
And you're still getting a couple from the kmupod.com?
Yeah, I did get one that for some oddball reason went to my spam folder. It came in last night and I saw it today and made it this morning, and he's already been located. He was found. He had checked himself into the hospital.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Sounds like he maybe went to go get some help. Well, let's talk about Christopher Bennett.
Okay, this is a new one that I just did yesterday, I believe. Christopher Bennett missing from Kansas City, Kansas since May 1st of 2023. He's 16. He is 5'9", weighs 150 pounds, has brown hair and brown eyes. He does have a large tattoo on the inside of his left forearm, which you can see there in the picture there. He has a small one on the inside of his right forearm, which I have a picture of, but I couldn't make it look nice when I blew it up, so I didn't use it. But if you have any information regarding Christopher's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000. Or KBI is 785-296-4017. There's too many zeros in that number. And see if we can help get Christopher located and back to where he needs to be. He's coming up on missing on almost a month. He's been missing, a little over 3 weeks. So let's get him found and back to where he needs to be.
You have a comment on your personal Facebook page that didn't show up in the studio from Amy Howell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna read it though, but yeah, I just want to let you know to check that.
Yeah, I'll look at it after the show.
All right, let's talk about Madalena.
Okay. We've covered her before, and I made a little update because when she went missing, she was 11. She's now 12. But Madalena Kajikari, missing from Cornelius, North Carolina, since November 26th of last year. She's 4'10", 90 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. She was last seen on surveillance video getting off her school bus on November 21st at 4:59 p.m. This was the last time police have independent confirmation of when she was last seen. She was reported missing to her school on December 15, 2022. Both Madalena's mother and her mother's husband have been arrested for failure to report Madalena missing. Madalena's mother reportedly told detectives that her daughter did not have a phone and that a book bag with some of her clothes was missing. She also told detectives that Madalena did not have any friends or family that she would be with. She was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and jacket, jeans, and pink and purple and white Adidas shoes. And I know the latest update that I saw was that they'd served a second search warrant on Madalena's mother's car. And apparently a dog hit. I can't remember if it was on the passenger front or the driver's front door, hit on drugs on one of those two doors. And it was also learned through this warrant that apparently her mother had been in contact with a distant family relative and talked to them about smuggling Madalena and her somewhere to get her away from her husband, because she said she had a bad relationship with her husband and stuff. And so they're looking into that possibility. But as of right now, Madalena is still missing, and I believe both parents are still sitting in jail, I believe. But that's the latest information I have on that. But like I said, she's, Madalena had her birthday in April, so now she's 12. So, if anybody has any information regarding Madalena's disappearance, her whereabouts, please call the Cornelius, North Carolina Police Department at 704-892-7773 and see if we can't get her located and, back to where she needs to be. It's just a weird, I don't know. It's a weird case. At one point, there was some, like the dad claimed that he went to Michigan for a few days. He come back, and the mom asked her, "Have you seen Madalena?" And he said, "Well, no, I've been gone. Have you seen Madalena?" And just a lot of crazy stuff. This is not making sense.
Yeah. Out there in Brandon's neck of the woods, North Carolina.
Yep.
Well, we got a few more cases here. Let's go ahead and go to my hometown, Elkhart, Kansas, talk about Suzanne Johnson's case. Very old case.
Yeah, this was from March 4th, 1971 in Elkhart. Suzanne Johnson, 14, was reported missing from her home in Elkhart. On March 4th, 1971, Suzanne's partially disrobed body was found 15 days later on March 19th, 1971, northwest of Elkhart, by a volunteer searcher about 30 minutes after a large-scale search was launched to look for clues in her disappearance. Suzanne's murder does remain unsolved. If you have any information regarding Suzanne's death, please call the KBI at 1-800-572-7463 and see if we can't get some justice for Suzanne and her family. That's a long time ago. 1971.
19,073 days.
I was 3 years old.
Yep, 19,073 days.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Very crazy.
Well, let's talk about our buddy Kenny Rychek.
Okay, this is Kenny Rychek, missing from here in Salina, Kansas since November 4th, 2019. He was 69 when he was missing. He's now 72. He's 5'9", weighs 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. He does sometimes use the last name Brown as opposed to his given name of Rychek. He does suffer from diminished mental health capabilities, and he is on disability. He has not tried to access any of his money since he was last seen. He may have family in northwest Kansas, possibly around the Colby area. He was last seen at the Gospel Mission in Salina. He was taken there after he was evicted from his home, and apparently he was having an issue with a resident there, so he decided to leave. He does not have a phone, a vehicle, or identification. He rode his bicycle around town picking up scrap metal to sell at All Metal Recycling, which used to be called Salina Iron and Metal back then. And that's how he would get extra pocket money for going around town, by picking up scrap metal and selling it. But again, he was 69 when he missing. He's now 72. He's 5'9", weighs about 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Kenny's disappearance, so you know his whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477 or text SA TIPS to 274-637 or visit pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip. Or call KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Kenny located and back to where he needs to be. Because I know a lot of people are worried about him. A lot of people ask me about him. I wonder about him. You know, where he could be, what could have happened to him. You know, I wonder if they've ever talked to the person he was allegedly having issues with out there. I never heard whether that person was ever talked to or not. So I don't know. I would like to think they checked into that, but I honestly don't know.
Right.
And I know there are places I would like to see searched, like that long tree line that's just across the street to the east of the Gospel Mission, where I've heard rumor over the years that homeless people do camp out on that tree line. So I'd like to, figure out a way to get that searched. Because if he did leave, maybe he went over there. I don't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't even realize he's missing. I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need answered.
Speaking of questions that need answered, let's talk about Dietrich Foster. $5,000 reward, folks.
Yeah. He's missing from Independence, Kansas since April 12, 2020. He was 37 when he went missing. He's now 40. He's 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. He was reported missing on May 12th of 2020. He was last seen around April 12, 2020 in Independence. KBI agents and detectives from the Independence Police Department are conducting his case as a homicide based upon findings during the investigation into Dietrich's disappearance. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 37. He's now 40, 5'9", 190 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. If you do have any information regarding Dietrich's disappearance, or you know his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department at 620-332-1700 or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And again, there is a governor's reward of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance and suspected murder of Dietrich Foster. So again, if you have any information, no matter how small, get it called in so they can follow up on it and see if it helps find him.
Yeah. It's not good. Another situation where, you talk to the family and there's just a lot to the story and you just kind of wish that, there would be more updates from law enforcement. But like we've said a billion times, until they have them, they can't share them,
Right. And they are doing all they can. I mean, they're doing these media pushes and making sure his case isn't forgotten. And, they're trying to get information generated. That's what we're trying to help do, is get information generated to help them. You know, they're doing the right things.
Yeah.
And just need people to come forward and do the right thing and say, hey, here's what we know.
Let's talk about Dana Jane Bruce.
Okay. Dana's missing from Sedalia, Missouri since October 4th, 2008. She was 23 when she went missing. She's now 37. She is 5'2", weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair and green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She had left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. Dana was seen at Malone's Bar on Main Street with a young man driving a late model red Ford F-150 truck earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with that man at 11:30 p.m. Police have identified the man that Dana was with that night. He traveled to Atlanta after her disappearance, and police questioned him about Dana after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar that night, and he never saw her again after that. She left all of her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and toothbrush. She does not have any credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. Again, at the time of Dana's disappearance, she was 23. She would now be 37. She's 5'2" tall, weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots and black at the ends with red highlights and green or hazel eyes. Dana was last known to be wearing a black shirt with the word Rebel and silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. Dana has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye. She has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced 1 time each. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100 or Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178 or toll free at 866-362-6422 and see if we can't get Dana located and back home to where she needs to be. Because I know she's got family worried about her, wanting her home, wanting to get her back home. So, again, anybody knows anything, call it in. Let's help get her home.
Yeah. Well, we have one case left, Alexander Perez, and we do have the voicemail that we received from a source. Ricky's going to tell you all about it, and then I'm going to tell. Then we have an awesome video from Brandon Smith for a located safe. It's a pretty big one. We have quite a few located safes this week, but Ricky's going to tell you all about Alex.
Yeah. Alexander Perez is a mystery from Ulysses, Kansas, since December 1st, 2020. He was 35 when he was missing. He's now 37. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes. Alex contacted a family member via phone on December 1st and advised he'd be coming to their home to do some laundry. He never arrived at the family member's home in Ulysses. He has not been heard from or seen by family or friends since then, and he had been staying with family and friends prior to his disappearance. It's believed that Alexander may still be in the local Ulysses area, or he may be in the Garden City, Kansas, or surrounding areas. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 35. He's now 37. He's 5'11" and weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes. He does have a tattoo of a bumblebee on his face underneath his left eye. He has Perez tattooed on one of his arms. He has a tattoo of a cross on a chain across his chest. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Grant County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-356-3500 or the Ulysses, Kansas Police Department at 620-356-4600 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Alex located and back home to his family, because there's another family missing their loved one, wanting them home. So let's do what we can to help make that happen.
I don't know, man. I'm supposed to be going back early morning to go get some shit and then go get some other stuff down there and bring it back down here, but I don't even know, man. It's been wild down there. It's been crazy. Fucking been held at gunpoint and robbed and tried to beat me up. It's a bunch of crazy shit going on in GC, man.
Always an ominous call to listen to. That's for sure.
Not good at all, yeah.
You never know if that kind of stuff going on was a precursor to what may have happened to him or not. I mean, there is always a possibility he went into hiding somewhere, but
yeah,
you never know.
It's not good. Well, after that rough video to watch, we have a good video for you to watch. This is a located safe, flyers made by Ricky Tebrugge, video produced by Brandon Smith of Back Home Media, and introduced by me, the best. I'm just kidding. We'll be right back.
Yep, gotta like those located safe reels.
Yeah. Always.
Especially this year, because there have been a lot of located deceased this year. I think I counted 13 or 14 so far this year.
13 or 14 so far this year, you said?
So far, I think it's 13 or 14. I'd have to go back and double check. But yeah, it's been quite a few. Way more than I'd like to see.
Yeah, that is not good. Let me see. Where's my new? I think I have a new down back. Where's it at? Oh, I have to go get it. Okay. 1 second. I'm having. Do you have any plans for next week's show? Is there like any anniversaries coming up that you're aware of, or?
Not off the top of my head without looking.
Okay. Not aware. Okay, that's cool. Just checking. I'm just downloading a picture real quick before we get out of here. Where's it at? Okay. Well, Ricky's going to do what he does to get us out of here. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, Smith Auto Truck Parts Incorporated, Big Fish Bail Bonds. This whole show is based around the Facebook page of Kansas Missing and Unsolved. None of these flyers would exist without Ricky making these flyers and spending all of his time. So if you look at the bottom of the screen here, patreon.com/KMUpod, please go to that website, give Ricky a couple of bucks a month, help him buy coffee and put gas in his new van that he got, new to him van. And help him keep things going. If you want to help me out, just go to backhomemedia.com and listen to all the podcasts we have available. There's a bunch of different kinds. You'll find something you like. But yeah, Ricky's going to get us out of here. And I've had a great time. And we will be back on Thursday, right? Next Thursday?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, next Thursday. Yeah.
Awesome.
That picture blows me away because that was 10 years ago and this was so much browner.
I didn't mean to hit that button. I meant to hit this one. Hold on. Yeah, 10 years ago. Well, I can have Brandon AI say add 10 years to it.
No. Yeah, man. No, thank you everybody for joining us. And I just want to say, Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together again this week so we could go over these unsolved homicides and missing persons cases. And I just really pray that somebody out there will see these flyers and do the right thing and give the investigators what they need to close these cases. You know, it's been a long, hard road for a lot of these families, and they need their loved ones home. And, you know, in the case of the unsolved homicides, those families deserve justice. They deserve to see whoever's responsible held accountable, and just pray that happens. And again, until we see everybody next week, everybody stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe. God bless. Amen. Love you guys. See you later.
Well, I don't think and I thought it, that's different. I said what I said and I meant it, or lamented. Words given weight without thought in a person, the way that I talk and the way that I ought to be able to pause and to say that the fault can be placed on my arm, to this playful assault, to disgrace in this arm. Pray for the day they could wait for the calm. You can't control the storm, only weather it, whether it's 5 weeks and 5 days of rain sideways, or scorched earth, search for death or water, left with all the thorns, with the petals gone, settle on the breath of autumn. If the ground fits, wear it,